Rangers supporters gather round because there is plenty to unpack after the latest performance, and the mood around the club is a mix of frustration, disbelief, and that familiar feeling of wondering how a match that looked under control somehow slipped away. The conversation right now is centered heavily on the defensive side of things, and it is no surprise that one particular display has been thrust straight into the spotlight. When a team comes off the pitch knowing it let opportunities slide, the reaction is never mild, and the aftermath of this match has only reinforced that. The intensity of the debate grew even sharper when a former club favourite voiced his thoughts without a hint of hesitation, sparking a wave of commentary across the support. It was the kind of breakdown that cut straight to the heart of what fans have been feeling for weeks. The standards at the back simply have not been good enough, coming at a time when results have already dipped and pressure is building around key fixtures ahead. His blunt message added fuel to a fire that was already burning bright. Things only escalated when Danny Rose spoke after the match, clearly annoyed by a decision that went against Rangers at a crucial moment. The offside call leading up to the corner that became Dundee United's second goal left him genuinely stunned. In his eyes, there was no debate. The player involved stood miles offside, completely influencing the play, and yet the officials allowed everything to continue. Rowe made it clear he was not trying to hide behind excuses, but he could not ignore a moment that altered the flow of the game so significantly. Still, he pointed out that the performance itself showed improvement and that the team had taken steps forward, even if the result did not reflect it. Before kickoff, he had explained the changes to his lineup, noting a blend of tactical adjustment and the need for fresher legs. Jayden Magome, Danilo, and JD Gassama were brought in, partly due to an injury and partly to inject new energy. Rose spoke about growth, about players adapting to the demands he has set, and about the importance of having the entire squad ready to contribute. He recognized that every opponent presents a different sort of test, and the side needs to adapt accordingly. But even with those adjustments, the glaring problems that surfaced later in the match showed that the puzzle is far from solved. The goal that turned the match upside down summed up everything Rangers are trying desperately to fix. For long stretches, especially early in the second half, Rangers looked calm, sharp, and full of purpose. There were patterns of play, there was pressure, and there was a clear intention to take hold of the match. But all of that evaporated when Dundee United punished a sequence of hesitant defending that should never have spiraled into danger. Amar Fatah danced through challenges that lacked conviction, finishing with ease, while Rangers players were left staring at each other with that all-too-familiar expression of disbelief. The build-up told the story in painful detail. A corner that should have been cleared on the first attempt remained alive, then a second chance to clear went begging, and a third opportunity was missed as well. Each moment revealed a lack of urgency and a worrying absence of leadership in the heart of the defence. Dundee United needed only the slightest encouragement to keep pushing, and when the strike hit the back of the net, the home crowd erupted while the Rangers' backline froze. It was the sort of moment that lingers long after the final whistle, precisely because it appeared avoidable from start to finish. Even the brighter performers could not mask the wider issues. Jayden Magome showed flashes of quality and composure, but the broader picture was one of a defensive unit on the back foot far too often. Every loose ball seemed to fall to the opposition. Every second phase turned into a scramble, and every attack from Dundee United carried an unsettling level of threat. When McCann reviewed everything later on, his analysis cut deeply into what supporters had seen with their own eyes. He pointed out soft challenges, players dipping out of duels, and a complete failure to close spaces quickly enough. It was not one error, it was a chain of them, repeated over and over. He highlighted moments where players stepped back instead of stepping in, where they reacted instead of anticipating, and where Dundee United simply showed more desire to win the decisive moments. Beitar's composed finish was acknowledged, but the defensive approach leading up to it was described as something no Rangers supporter should ever have to witness. With another tough opponent heading to Ibrox next, the warning signs could not have been clearer. Continuing with the same defensive structure carries risk of a scale the club cannot afford, especially given that the last two league matches have already ended in damaging draws. Those drop points have piled pressure directly onto the league campaign. Rangers now sit several steps below where they need to be, stuck in fourth place and trailing by a margin that no one can ignore. The frustration stems from the fact that the issues are not isolated. The defensive struggles ripple through the entire team, affecting the attack, the rhythm, and the confidence. When a side is constantly chasing matches rather than controlling them, the foundations crack and every forward move becomes that bit harder. It is a cycle Rangers need to break quickly before the gap grows even wider. Even more concerning is the sense that these problems have become predictable. Opponents know they can trouble Rangers simply by being direct, energetic, and aggressive. Without a strong base at the back, every match becomes a battle to restore control rather than build momentum. That is exactly why changes now feel unavoidable, even if that means turning to younger players or making difficult decisions about senior squad members. Reinforcements may arrive when the window opens, but the fixtures do not pause, and the club cannot afford to let more points slip away while waiting for solutions. The situation surrounding the upcoming international departures only adds another layer of complication to a squad already dealing with inconsistency. Rangers know they will soon be without Nasser Jagger and Muhammad Diamande, as both prepare to represent their countries at the Africa Cup of Nations. It is a massive honour for any player to pull on the colours of their homeland, but for the club, the timing could hardly be more disruptive. The schedule around that period is always intense, and losing two key midfielders when the team is crying out for stability makes the challenge even steeper than it already is. With the tournament taking place in Morocco and stretching from late December through the middle of January, the possibility of missing several crucial matches was a real concern. However, the recent update from the governing body brought a small slice of good news. Instead of leaving early, players heading to the competition will remain available until the middle of December, meaning both Jagger and Diamande can feature in the Europa League clash against Ferencváros. It is a narrow window, but every match matters, and having them available for that fixture gives Rangers a better chance of navigating a group that remains tight and fiercely contested. Even so, Rowe and his staff must already be preparing for the weeks ahead, knowing that the midfield structure will need reshaping once the pair depart. This uncertainty comes at a time when the team desperately needs a stretch of consistency. The recent run of results has highlighted how fragile the balance within the squad really is. A strong performance one half is too often followed by a lapse the next, and one mistake tends to trigger another. It has created an atmosphere where every setback feels heavier than it should, and supporters are left hoping for a clear response that has not yet arrived. The coaching staff face the difficult task of lifting confidence while also tightening fundamentals that should have been reliable weeks ago. What complicates matters further is that Rangers are not just dealing with tactical or technical issues, they are dealing with emotional ones too. When a team concedes goals that appear preventable, it's especially through soft defending or poor organization, the psychological impact lingers. Players start reacting half a second late, second-guessing movements they would normally make without thinking. The hesitation becomes visible, and opponents take full advantage of it. That is exactly what unfolded at Tannadice, where Dundee United showed far more belief in the decisive moments and Rangers appeared caught between committing and stepping back. Even the players who have shown glimpses of form are wrestling with the collective instability around them. Some phases of play reveal promising structure, neat passing, and coordinated pressure, but those flashes are too easily undone by lapses in concentration. In matches where Rangers should be dictating the tempo from start to finish, the team instead finds itself drifting in and out of rhythm, allowing opponents to grow in confidence. Every time the ball enters the box, supporters hold their breath, and that is a feeling no side with title ambitions can afford to carry. The absence of a solid defensive anchor has also forced the attack into uncomfortable territory. Forwards are regularly compelled to push harder than expected, not just to create, but to compensate for what is happening behind them. When the team is constantly chasing the match, the attacking players lose the freedom to play their natural game. Movements become rushed, decisions become forced, and the pressure to score every time they go forward becomes overwhelming. It is a draining cycle, and the longer it persists, the harder it becomes for confidence to return. This is why many supporters are calling for significant changes, even if the decisions are difficult. There is a real sense that relying on the same defensive setup will only lead to more of the same results, and the risk of falling further away from the top places is too great to ignore. While the January window offers the chance to bring in reinforcements, the club cannot afford to wait until then to steady the ship. Adjustments must be made internally, whether that means introducing younger players, reshaping partnerships, or altering the structure entirely. Rowe has been vocal about needing everyone in the squad, but at this stage, he may need to be even more decisive. Dropping senior players is never a straightforward call, yet when the defense looks vulnerable every time it is tested, difficult conversations become necessary. Young players might lack experience, but they often bring energy, hunger, and the desire to prove themselves. Sometimes that alone can tilt the momentum in the right direction, especially in matches where intensity is the defining factor. The next run of fixtures offers little breathing space. Every match is now wrapped in a sense of urgency because Rangers cannot afford to let the gap widen. 9 points is already a mountain, and the teams above are not dropping enough points to make that climb feel any easier. The supporters know the potential within the squad is higher than what they are seeing, and that only increases the frustration. They want conviction, they want identity, and they want to see a response that shows the players understand the stakes. The squad itself is aware of the weight on its shoulders, and the conversations inside the dressing room will no doubt be direct, and the players will understand that the level must rise immediately. Football is unforgiving when standards slip, and Rangers are now living with the consequences of moments that should have been handled far better. The only way forward is through consistency, leadership, and a commitment to winning the key duels that define tight matches. As preparations continue for the next challenge at Ibrox, the message within the club will be simple but urgent. Defensive discipline must rise, the transitions must tighten, and the team must stop allowing opponents to dictate the emotional rhythm of matches. Supporters will fill the stands with the same passion as always, but it is up to the players to restore the confidence that has been shaken. The opportunity to build momentum remains there, waiting to be taken, yet the margin for error has shrunk dramatically. The next fixtures will provide clarity on whether Rangers are capable of turning this moment into a turning point rather than another downward slide. The pieces are there for improvement. A coach who demands high standards, young players pushing for their chance, senior figures with the experience to steady the group, and a fan base desperate to see the team return to winning ways. What is needed now is the conviction to deliver when it matters most, to turn criticism into motivation, and to transform hesitant defending into assertive, controlled performances. The season is far from over, but the window for recovery narrows with each match that fails to deliver the desired outcome. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications to get all the exclusive news about Rangers FC. Don't overlook any details about your beloved team. It's crucial for Rangers FC fans. Whispers swirled through Govan long before the doors even opened, but nothing prepared the press room. For the moment, James Tavernier stepped forward and confirmed what many had feared. He's leaving Rangers. The announcement delivered with a steady voice and the faintest quiver behind the eyes sent a ripple through the gathered reporters. Half gasp, half knowing murmur, as if the whole of the city had been waiting for this very sentence to drop. The captain didn't point fingers, didn't hint at boardroom tension, didn't tease a grand transfer elsewhere, yet every pause between his words felt like an invitation for speculation. Was this sparked by fresh interest from afar? A new challenge brewing across the border? Or perhaps the weight of carrying the armband for so long, through highs and lows, finally nudged him toward the next chapter? No answers were given outright, but in Glasgow, silence tends to shout louder than speeches. Those close to the club insist this wasn't a sudden decision. Others claim the mood around the training ground had shifted recently, that Tavernier's usually booming presence had grown quieter, as though he'd already begun to step away. Some even swear he cleared out a locker earlier than usual, though no one seems willing to go fully on record. Inside Ibrox, reactions range from heartfelt disbelief to the kind of resigned acceptance that comes when a figure becomes bigger than the shirt he wears. Supporters outside the stadium spoke in hushed tones, torn between gratitude and anxiety. After all, a captain doesn't simply leave without shaking the foundations a little, and so the rumour mill roars on. There's talk of meetings behind closed doors, of agents spotted where they shouldn't be, of foreign clubs sniffing around with offers that turn heads even in Glasgow's unforgiving football climate. Whether truth or just late-night chatter, the sense remains that this story has only just begun. What's certain is that Tavernier's departure marks the end of a stirring era. Where he goes next remains a mystery, but his exit has already become the city's newest obsession, fuel for every pub debate, taxicab theory, and message board meltdown. In true Glasgow fashion, the whispers will only grow louder until the next revelation lands. Greetings, fans. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, as it's greatly appreciated by Rangers FC. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments section below. Until the next video, stay tuned.